Welcome back to the Seeking Chi Masters. Today, I would like to share a little bit about my journey to recovering from chronic allergies. As a child, I was very sick, and one of the things I was sick with were allergies, or if we're to break it down at a metabolic level, the uncontrolled histamine response whenever I'm near or touching or ingesting anything, really. I had that awful scratch test on my back to see what I'm allergic to, pretty much everything. I nearly got put on allergy shots. Thankfully, that did not happen. I was prescribed pharmaceuticals to quell the symptoms, and I was able to survive and not totally phlegm up and get sick and have these inflammatory responses. But I really had to be careful. I couldn't be around a cat without puffing up in my face. I pretty much would get snotty when I would eat so many different kinds of foods. I was very much surviving. I was not thriving. And over the years, I've been guided to various healing modalities and various ways of healing myself. And for me to remedy this awful histamine response that really crippled my life, I was able to do it through first eliminating what's causing the problem. So much of our food is contaminated with pesticides and genetically modified organisms. So I would notice if I didn't eat all sorts of bread and all sorts of questionable dairy, the histamine response and phlegm production would get less. So that helped. Avoidance of things like cats and dust was one that was really awful. All of that helped, but still I was merely just surviving, not thriving. And eventually, I discovered the magical healing power of working with the subtle energy. And through acupuncture, through an allergy elimination technique, I was able to recalibrate how my body interfaces with the world so that I was not constantly reacting with this inflammatory response every time I pet a cat or ate bread. And because acupuncture balances us in a more direct way when we're looking at what actually materializes, because we're working on the energetic spectrum of what creates the matter, I was able to re-stabilize myself, and I had a unique experience with NAET, where in one session I was able to eliminate the dreadful cat allergy. And this was one of my nudges into my medicine as an Eastern doctor, seeing the power of these little tiny needles placed in a few spots. I hold a vial of whatever is causing me an imbalance, and then I avoid it for about a day, and then I come back and then we muscle test it and we see how that went. That's just one way of recalibrating ourselves so we're not constantly having these reactions that are no fun, because it's essentially a defense mechanism, like, this is going to attack me. I need to create a histamine response and defend, but in reality it's not. It's a confusion in our systems that's happening, from my experience, is what I see as far as allergies go. Also, I feel another important factor for me to really heal from allergies was repairing my microbiome. As someone, like many of us growing up in the 1980s, I was blasted with antibiotics so many times. This inevitably destroyed my gut flora, and this most certainly added to the troubling reality I faced back then of seemingly being allergic to a good half of the things I would encounter in the world that could possibly be an allergen. So I invite you to explore how you relate energetically to whatever it may be. Dust, a food. Do you sneeze when you pick up something in the store? Is that your body saying, hey, I shouldn't eat this? That's your subtle energy becoming hyper aware of whatever it is you're holding. And there is an intelligence to our human DNA to be able to let us know what we should have in our bodies and what not. And once we unravel the explosive, not reliable histamine response, we can begin to harness the power of our empathic awareness of knowing what to eat and what not to eat. And as far as repairing the microbiome goes, it can be done in many ways. The candida to probiotic balance is supposed to be about a 6 or 5 to 1 as far as the ratio goes. But the problem is many of us have more of that candida because of the damage we have to our gut flora. So repairing the microbiome is fundamental for all of us. Allergies are not. And ultimately, there are other ways that we can help ourselves recalibrate and not be so allergic to things we don't want to be allergic to, especially animals. If we want to have a cat or a dog, we don't want to have to be stuck on Allegra the rest of our lives just to have that animal around us. We can find an NAET practitioner. There are other modalities that work, but just know it's a subtle tinkering of how we respond to the world that we are recalibrating, so that when we touch an animal, or when we hold a food, or when we eat the food, the body doesn't think it's being attacked. Because that's really what's going on, is a confusion in our own intelligent immune system, and it is very possible to eliminate this confusion, and I'm proof of that. I can live not wondering if I'm going to have to run away from an animal now because I'm so allergic. I can be confident that I'm not going to phlegm up in scenarios where it was a guarantee as a child. This is just a brief introduction of getting into allergy elimination, and I encourage you to activate the healer within, because nobody knows ourselves better than we do. Anyone else who tells you otherwise perhaps is not the best role model as a healer, because all the best healers know we activate the healer within for the healing to truly begin.